So we can actually make a proper use of our variables in this descriptive programming scripts and codes. We can see that we have repeated this browser title, Facebook login, page title, Facebook login, 1, 2, 3, 3 times. We have actually repeated this same thing. So instead of repeating this thing in here, we can assign it a variable, and we can use the variable in here. So what we can do is say that set another object called my browser is equal to this. So we can say my browser is equal to browser title colon equal to welcome to Facebook. So let's save it. We can also say the same. We can also do the same for the page. We can say that this page is set my page is equal to, and this is not case sensitive. You can name it as whatever you want. And this is the page. So now we can replace all these long browser and title codes by putting in the variable names. Let me replace this long code by my browser and replace this long code by my page. This one here, my page. Okay, so my browser.mypage.webedit. Now it looks pretty straightforward and short. Now I can use this variable. I can reuse them as many times as I need within my script. Now let's do the same thing for the rest of the codes. My browser.mypage. So the code looks simpler and more organized. So my browser.mypage.web button. So we have done that. Let's try to run this. So we have an error somewhere. Let's check that. Let's check for the error. Let's try to run this and try to troubleshoot that. So it says the object does not support this property. So it's telling me that, let's close the browsers. Let's close this one, close that. So it's telling me it does not understand this code, that QTP does not understand my browser.mypage. So QTP is asking, what is my browser, what is my page? Okay, so we have to tell QTP that the value of my browser is this, but my browser is basically a browser. So we put my browser within a bracket. So we are telling QTP that my browser is a browser, and we have to do the same thing for my page. So my browser.page, my browser.page. So within a bracket, we have to say that my page, which page? My page, which is basically this. Then we can do the same for the rest of the codes. I can just copy that in here. So browser, my page, my page. And the same, we do the same on number 11. Browser, my browser, page, my page. Let's save this. Let's run this and see if it works. So it navigates to Facebook, enters the text, clicks on login, captures the error, closes a browser, and let's wait for the test to complete. Okay, now check the log. we can see the error message exists, so the whole invalid login test was successful. We were also able to replace these values for browser and page and reuse them by assigning them to a variable and reusing those variables over and over. In QTP and VBScript, there's also another thing called option explicit. So what if I have 100 lines of codes and I'm using these variables within my code? So what if I put browser, my browser 2 on line number 9? So what will happen? Let's see that. So opens the browser, facebook.com, and it fails. It says it fails on line number 9. It failed the run for an unknown error. So due to an unknown error, now to eliminate this type of error, we have to check what is the error and what is the reason, and that is a huge hassle. So while assigning variables, you can use something at the top of the code. Is a better place to use it, but we can put something called option explicit. Okay, as you can see, this is in blue. That means this is a function, a built-in function of QTP. So if we do option explicit and we do a mistake within the variables, so I have a variable called myPage, right? And I'm using myPage. So instead of using myPage, I use myPage2 and I run it. Let's close the browser first. Let's see what happens. So QTP will already tell you, as soon as you are using option explicit, QTP will tell you that the variable is undefined. That means if you use option explicit, you have to declare every single variable. You have to declare the names of the variables you will be using within your script. To declare the variables, how you declare the variables, you have to use the dim statements. So dim email ID, and then say dim password, and dim my browser, and dim my page. So basically, I am declaring. Just like you go to the airport and you declare how much weight you have with you, how many bags you have with you, or if you go to the customs, you have to declare what type of items and how much those items weigh in pounds, or how much they are worth. You have to declare what they are worth, or how much money you have with you, if you have fruits, vegetables. Something like that. You also have to declare, like if you have a party of 50 people, you have to declare how many people in advance of your family are going to be at the party so that they can arrange the food and have the resources for that many people. Just like that, you have to declare a variable and a name with the dim statement. And the statement option explicit, you are making sure that you declare these variables. So since I have declared all of these variables, let's try to understand what the benefit is of declaring the variables. What exactly are the benefits of using option explicit? So option explicit tells me to declare each and every single variable I use, which I have done in here. So within my scripts, if I have a script with hundreds of lines of codes, and let's say I make a mistake like myPage2, a typing mistake. Let's try to run this and see what happens. It opens a browser, and at this point, instead of giving me an unknown error, QTP tells me that the variable myPage2 is undefined. It's undefined. So That's a very convenient way. That's a convenient way of getting an error because QTP is telling me that my page 2 is not even a variable. So what exactly do you mean by my page 2? So I can look at my code and I can see that in my variables I have nothing called my page 2. So I can change it to my page, save it, close a browser, run it, and see if we can get a successful run. So I enter the text, clicked on login, captured the text, closes the browser, and we have a print log that error message exists. We'll wait for QTP to complete the test, and here we go. So we can use option explicit, declare the variables, use the variables as many times as you need, capture the text, and so on.